Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Today in Titletown Packers podcast. My name is Griff, and you can follow me on Instagram at AllDayPackers, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend Bron, who you can follow on Instagram at Lambeau.Leapers, and we are coming back after another practice, not just any practice, a family night, the annual tradition. We were in person for it, of course, because we are in Green Bay for the week to cover training camp, and we got to be there for like the first time ever for both of us being at family night. It was Bron's first time ever at Lambeau Field, being inside the bowl, watching any kind of anything go on the field. So it was a really special experience for him. Not to brag, I've been there quite a few times at this point. Yeah, but it's always special being at Lambeau Field. The fireworks show after, I have to say, not a big fireworks guy, but it was a pretty special experience.
Well, the fans should know that you are colorblind, so that takes away some of the allure. But it was a great show, and I was very moved by it. It was a lot of fun.
Very moved by it.
It was just a great experience. You're like, wow, I'm sitting here in Lambeau Field, and it's all these fireworks and the light show. And
the light show was
bracelets
awesome.
that they had, which I don't even know how they made everybody's bracelets go light up at the same time. And
bro, I'm telling you, Mark Murphy was up in the front office with the big button that had all the bracelets go off at the same time. We were literally thinking that the bracelets didn't work the entire practice because you hit the button, nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, once the lights go out for the fireworks, all the bracelets start flashing. That Mark Murphy, he's always up to something.
Giving him a little too much credit, I think.
No, but it was awesome, and all the lights going out was really cool too. Being in a completely dark, pitch black stadium just for like 10 seconds before the fireworks started going.
Yeah.
That was really cool. And yeah, I don't like fireworks, but I had a great time, and I didn't want it to be over.
A lot of fun. It was so cool. And
I forgot they practiced.
Every time you thought it was going to end, every time you thought it was going to end, they did more fireworks, and then they had that big ending with all those. It was really cool. So it's, and it's not even just for kids. It's just a lot of fun. The music was great.
For big kids like us.
Okay. Great show, a lot of fun. And the practice was great. A lot to talk about, a lot of great football. If you saw any of my story, you saw the game film that was out there from that practice, and a lot of good football being played, a lot of bad football being played. We'll get all into it. A lot to talk about, and there's a lot to discuss in terms of guys who are having good camps, not good camps. So let's get into it, Griff.
Yeah, why don't we? All this firework talk made me forget that they even practice. But yeah, as always, I love watching this team practice, and I find myself, as the days go by here on our vacation, itching to watch this team take the field because I just love watching them.
Because you're such a nerd.
And we have such great seats, and that was true today as well. We were row 20. The past 3 days we've been row 1 at Ray-Nitschke Field, but in Lambeau we were row 20. But it kind of
gave us... At the 50-yard line.
At the 50-yard line. Bron did a great job.
Some of the best seats in the house in terms of that bird's eye point of view you want to be at to see.
Yeah, we saw all 22 players. We could see the opposite end of the field, which at practice, we have a hard time seeing what's going on the opposite sideline. Like, for example, Jordy Nelson was there on, what day is today? I guess he was there on Thursday, and we really couldn't see him. It doesn't help that he was wearing the most generic clothing. It's such a Jordy Nelson outfit he was wearing. But, we saw on Instagram that he was there, and we really couldn't see him. But our seats being a little bit higher up, we could. I feel like we had a much better view today. And if you saw Bron's story, then you would know that we had pretty good view.
From a football standpoint, watching the game, we got some of the best seats in the house in terms of, watching actually who played well and who didn't play well. So I think we're more this year than ever in a great position to kind of determine who we think is going to make the team and who isn't going to make the team.
In terms of our vacation, we've had a really solid time, and we've caught some really good practices. And like I said, I love it so much. And living here in this house with you temporarily, we had to walk to the stadium today because the parking situation was not ideal. All of our neighbors here are selling out their driveways and their lawns, $20 parking. So we walked to the stadium today, and it's been really fun being here with you. We've spent too much money at the pro shop, but we have all kinds of new clothes to bring home and new things to bring home, all Packer related, of course. So it's been a really exciting thing, and I can't believe that it's almost over here. But we've still got 2 strong days of practice left. We're off on Saturday, and then we've got practice on Sunday and Monday. So we're going to try to pump out as many podcasts here as possible because we enjoy doing them, and we've gotten some good feedback on the last couple that we've put out. So thanks for listening to those, of course. But today, let's start talking about practice, Bron. What do you want to bring up first here?
Well, Griff, we always like to start with the quarterback play, and obviously with Rodgers, it's pretty bland most of the time when we're talking about practices because what he does is we know what he does. I mean, he's expected to perform excellently, and most of the time he does. One thing with the quarterbacks today, the classic throw the ball in the net from 50 yards away. That, we every year during family night, we see that video of Rodgers sinking it, and this year it did not happen because none of the three quarterbacks, and I want to say about a total of maybe 30 tries, they probably each got 10 cracks at it. None of them could put it in the net, and they had to move on to a different drill at that point. So it just didn't happen, and they never went back to it. That was just a little tidbit of info, right? But, like...
That was really embarrassing.
Yeah.
At the point, it was like, are we going to be out here all night? I didn't think they were going to stop until one of them could sink it.
Rodgers came close a few times.
Missing. Yeah, from our vantage point, it looked like he was just off, like, side to side. But Etling kept overthrowing. Love kept
lot. And like Love couldn't even come close.
Yeah, Love kept underthrowing. But Rodgers, I don't know. We couldn't really get a good look because the net was in the corner of the end zone, and like you said, we were at the 50-yard line. So this is like a humble brag right here. But yeah, we couldn't really tell what was going on in the end zone. But it was pretty sad. That's always a family night thing. You always go on Instagram and you see Rod. Last year, I think he sunk it from like 50. Remember, It was that crazy bomb.
He hit a couple.
Yeah.
He hit a couple.
Yeah.
And even in practice when he's doing it, they kind of always wait till he hits it, and it usually doesn't take that long. This one was a little weird because everybody got a bunch of cracks. I thought at one point maybe Love would have sunk one, or maybe even Etling, because he was overthrowing them, so I thought it'd be a little bit of an easier adjustment.
Yeah, I kept saying just try underthrowing it here.
Yeah, which was bizarre. I don't know how was he missing by so much?
I don't know.
Yeah, he was shooting way over, too, a few yards over. But
yeah, you could tell when he released it. You could tell he was putting way too much power into the throw. Yeah. Even at practice the other day, they all hit one. Rodgers hit a couple the other day, remember?
Yeah.
This was only from like 20 yards. This one was what, from 35?
Yeah, somewhere between 35 and 40.
Yeah.
But, it's funny because Rodgers ended up having a pretty good day in terms of the team drills and stuff. I thought he played really well. No missed throws from him, really. Just a lot of, especially on the last drive when they ended up scoring with the A.J. Dillon run, when they started all the way back at the 1, and then kind of Rodgers took it down. That was a really good drive, a lot of good balls. That first one was actually to Josiah. He had a big catch and run. Then he went to Lazard and so on, and Sammy was the big catch to get down to the end zone. Then they ran it a couple times with AJ.
That was the first, well, I don't know what happened the first 4 practices that we weren't in person for, but of the practices we've seen, that was the first really big connection between Rodgers and Sammy. Yeah. And it was exciting. People were really excited about that one. And going up against the number 1 defense, that last drive, I think that was Rodgers' last drive, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was a really impressive drive.
Yeah, he looked good, and then he kind of made sure to mix it up with Randall Cobb got his catches, and it's good to keep him involved because he's going to be one of the bigger parts of what we do.
Cobb's outfit?
Yeah. The yellow,
what an outfit, sleeves. Man.
I did post a
white
photo
jersey.
I posted a photo of his gold sleeves with the jersey, with the yellow pant. He was looking good in that outfit.
He was looking better than anyone else on the field.
Yeah. Got some good shots of him with the swag. He was looking good. Playing like it, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But not just Cobb. He was getting Lazard involved, although Lazard had a couple drops.
That's concerning.
Not great, yeah.
He had drops last year in the regular season.
And, he used to have really good hands. I don't know. Maybe it's just a weird thing.
Every time he makes a catch, it's like, wow, he looks like he has the best hands on the team. But he's got stone hands.
At times.
A little bit more than you want from your now number 1 receiver.
He's had a few drops. It's just a weird
He has.
thing.
The other day he had a couple.
Somebody had to come in and do what MVS was doing for us.
But, I mean, physically, Lazard still looks it's exciting what he could be able to do this year. Yeah. He's built like a house. He still moves like a receiver, though. So, he looks like a tight end, but he's able to move like a receiver for the most part. I don't think he's going to beat Amari Rodgers in a race or anything, but, he's quick. He's quick-footed.
Yeah.
So.
I really do like the way when you step out at practice and he even just look at the receiver group, he looks like the number 1 guy.
Yeah, when they're all doing their drills together, he stands out like a sore thumb.
And it's crazy because he was not always as big and strong and tall. You know what I mean? He's just overall grown muscularly in a different fashion.
When you look at pictures of him in Jacksonville, it's like you can't even tell that it's the same guy, really.
So he's really tried to put himself in a position from a physical standpoint to be that number 1 guy. Now he's just got to put it together. Being the number 1, it means taking on a leadership role, which he's a reserved guy in some ways, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Randall Cobb is still that leader in the room, but he has to understand that being that first target commands the eyes of everybody else in the room. So he's going to have to take on that leading by example aspect of what it means to be a number one wide receiver. Also being Aaron Rodgers' target in a lot of passing situations and his duties as a blocker with his size and strength. He's got a lot to balance, so it's going to be difficult, I feel like, for him to manage. Hopefully he gets it sooner rather than later. But he's definitely had his moments at practice where you feel like he's got some work to do.
The talk about who's going to replace Devonte, like who is the wide receiver one, I feel like the more practices we watch, the more it feels like the concept of number one wide receiver is like sort of a myth this season for the Packers, because even just like with the starting rotation of receivers, we've seen Winfrey in with the ones a lot. We've seen,
and hey, he's looked good. Let's mention
he's looked good. Yeah, he looked good last
good.
year, so it's gonna be like, okay, let's see this in the regular season.
Yeah, well, his thing too is he's had some drops, and he had some drops last year. He had one today, right? And he was running a route on air, dropped the ball. You know, this was very early in warm-ups, right? And he dropped the ball. But then he goes out and makes plays with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and he's just putting himself in the equation. And we always talk about the receiver position. They're going to have to get down to 7 guys. Where does he fit in? And it's going to end up being a decision between a guy like Samori Toure, who is really playing well, and Juwan Winfrey, who's playing well, and Malik Taylor, who's been there for a really long time and contributes on special teams, who's out right now with injury. There are a lot of guys involved here, but the good thing is it's going to bring the competition up, and it's going to give the Packers a chance to evaluate and get the best 7 guys. Because we talked to a lot of people always assume it's 6 because Matt LaFleur doesn't like whatever, right? But it's going to be 7. We know that for a fact based on just the idea of it's not just Devonte anymore. They need more bodies because they need a lot of guys to come in and contribute. And it's going to be a collective effort to replace Devonte, which means they're going to have all these guys do a fair share and bring the roster to a point where they feel like all these guys collectively together can replace the targets that Devonte had, and they'll have their fair share of yards, touchdowns, and the like.
There's not going to be anyone with 1,500 yards or like probably even 10 touchdowns. Like probably not. It's gonna be going around because just the rotation of starters that we've seen. Randall Cobb started with the Tuesday. The starting group with Rodgers was who? It was Dobbs, it was Sammy, and Lazard, I believe.
No, Lazard was with Cobb with the 2s.
Really?
If you remember that.
That was weird. I don't know if that means anything.
No, they're just doing different things. They want Love to play with some of the guys, and it's just like they're just experimenting because they do want, like we just mentioned, there's not really any clear like starters. There's a lot of guys that are competing. It's not like Devonte and Jordy and Cobb. You know, like it was many years ago where those were the clear guys, and then you had the guys behind them.
Right.
Now it's like Sammy Watkins could come in and start, or Romeo Dobbs, who's a 4th-round pick, has played so well that he can come in and start. But we know Lazard is going to be in the mix to start, obviously, and be the number one. Randall Cobb has the rapport with Rodgers, and he's probably going to start in the slot. But there's no reason that any of those other guys couldn't be doing the same thing because they're showing that they can, and they're going to keep mixing those guys in and out until we get some kind of separation. And if we don't, they're just going to be able to mix it up and keep defenses guessing about, and corners specifically, about who they're covering, and they're not going to be able to prepare for a guy like Devonte or just one particular guy. It's going to be they have to look at every single receiver we have and find out what it takes to cover them, because not only do they have all those different guys playing very similar amounts, but these guys are moving around playing different positions, whether it's the slot or the boundary.
Every player is so exciting, too. You've got Lazard, who looks we know what he can do. We've seen him play well at a high level before. He looks massive, too. I don't know if that's just me seeing him in person, like this close for the first time, but he looks huge. Cobb, we know what he can do. Amari Rodgers looks in way better shape than he did last year. Juwan Winfrey is making plays. Romeo Dobbs now being thrown into the mix, who, again tonight, just continues making what Rodgers called wow plays. Christian Watson, who we haven't even seen take the field yet, he looks really good. Samori Toure looks really good. Sammy Watkins, I forgot to mention, like I mentioned earlier, made a big play tonight. We've seen him be good in the NFL before. There's so much unknown with this team, with this group of receivers. I'm so excited to watch them play. Another position group that's similar to the receiver situation, where there's really no one guy, but a bunch of really exciting guys, is the tight end position. Because we haven't seen Robert Tonyan this training camp, obviously still healing that torn ACL that he suffered last October. But Tyler Davis, always making plays, looks very explosive, very fast. Our guy, Dominique Daphne. Another great practice. I feel like no one's talking about him.
I must say here, and we're not just saying this because he's been on our show multiple times.
We might be saying it on
No,
because
Griff,
of that a little bit.
We watch him a little bit more maybe than most guys, but that's why we're able to say this. He is making every play in his, any opportunity he gets, he's making the play. He's doing a lot with it, and we can clearly see this, and we both said this multiple times. He just looks like a receiver, more like a receiving tight end, more than the blocker. Like, he's slimmed down.
He doesn't look like a fullback anymore.
No, he looks like a tight end. Like, he looks like a receiving tight end, and Josiah looks like a receiver now too. Like, he looks like a receiving tight end. Both of those guys have put themselves in the shape, and it must have been something the coaches said or a designed path for what their career is doing right now because of the need for more receiving targets to be available. These guys have put themselves in shape to catch more passes this year and do less run blocking and things of that nature, which is, it's clear and evident. And what they're doing in terms of how much passes they're catching in camp so far, it's clear that those guys are going to be options in the passing game that are going to get more receptions and targets than they did in the past several years that they've been with us. So that's really exciting, and they're very much rising to the occasion, looking good doing it, and they're going to be big parts of what we do, I feel like, in the passing game, and they're going to continue to do the things they do in the running game as well.
Right, it's going to be another, just like the receiver group where there's not going to be one guy who has a Pro Bowl season, most likely. It's going to be all of them making plays when they're asked to. And Josiah DeGuara, if he stands with the receivers, you really can't pick him out as the only tight end there. And back to Daphne, a funny exchange I thought we had was we were talking on the bench, obviously, or on the bleachers about how good he looks, and I was like, well, I haven't really been watching him as a blocker. I don't know how good he is there. The very next play, he pancakes Tipa Nalier. I was like, okay, this guy, he's still like, he doesn't look like Josiah. He's not that thin. He doesn't move that well, but he is looking better as a receiver, but he's still going to be able to bring that H-back type of role to the team and put guys in the dirt like that. Tipa doesn't look like the hardest guy to block, to be fair, but he did take care of him pretty well. So the fact that he's still on this team, Dom Daphne, I think that tells you how much this coaching staff likes him. Right?
And the way they're using him, I think it's pretty clear that he's going to make the roster.
And he's in there with the ones a lot of the time.
Yes.
All these tight ends are.
Josiah,
Big dog, I completely forgot about Mercedes. I feel like he's going to get fewer snaps this year than he has ever with Matt LaFleur.
I agree. And with Josiah, I can't really stress enough how much he looks like a receiver as opposed to a tight end right now. Like, he is very slim in a good way. Like, it's not a bad thing. He needs to develop as a receiver. That's been the clear thing. And he looks like he has done a lot of work to get into a position to be that way. So, again, I can't stress enough how good he's been in camp. Those two guys have stood out in a great way. With Tyler Davis, too. Like, this tight end position, I am the least bit concerned about among many of the positions that we have some issues or questions, if you will. Especially with Robert not being on the field right now. I'm very, very excited about that position because of what these guys have done in camp. And they all look the part, too.
There's no one there who the average NFL fan is going to be able to identify.
Yeah.
But I'm excited nonetheless for them.
Yeah.
Are we crazy?
Encouraging.
Do you think we're crazy how well we think all these guys look? Like, I think all these guys in the as a receiving option, I think they're all going to have. Like, I'm really excited about all these guys. Do you think every fan base is thinking this about their team at this time of year?
Of course, but I think we can tell, we've been doing this long enough, things have changed with this group. Like, I think they look physically, there was clearly a message sent, like, from the coaching staff to these guys that they are going to need to be more involved next year because of, like, it's clear. It makes a lot of sense. Devonte's gone. He took up so much of the targets and obviously the yards, touchdowns. They needed to get into a position where they can become more available as options for Rodgers, and all of them have stepped up so far. Of course, they have to take that into the regular season, and it hasn't been that long. There's only been however many practices, 7, 8, whatever, and family night. But they look like they're in the right track of being able to do that for us. And collect, again, a collective effort here because we only need to have 1 or 2 onto the field at a time. And we have about 4 guys, not including Tunyon, that I feel comfortable with right now. And hopefully at least 1 or 2 of those guys steps up until whenever Robert Tunyon's ready to go. And even after that, we can have a lot of guys that can contribute.
The passing offense overall, all the different receiving options are exciting. Definitely exciting. The run game, we were talking about this earlier, Bron. We don't really have the greatest view of what's going on in the trenches in terms of run blocking. Like there's so much going on every play when you're in person that like when I watch football games and I want to pay attention to the run blocking, I have to like rewatch it like 8 times, like the same play, because there's so much going on. So when you're watching training camp in person, like we, honest to God, have no idea what is going on a play. It looks like just like a bunch of bodies. But from what I can tell, I would call myself an untrained eye. The run game looks like it's been struggling, but
I think that's evident in the fact that there's not. It's hard to tell. There's no tackling, right?
But no tackling makes it very hard.
It doesn't seem. There's been the only run that I've seen is that was anything impressive was A.J. Dillon had a probably 25-yard run before anybody made any significant touching or contact with him, which that was. I got a video of that, which to me it looks like that was a clear actual
well-blocked
run from him. Yeah, that was the only run I've seen in this entire week of any nice, quality run blocking of that broke something open. But it's tough because there is no tackling and whatnot. But then they're running into a lot of nothing. Like anytime he get, whether it's Aaron Jones or A.J. Dillon, a lot of struggling offensive line play puts them into just this position where like Jones is running into a group and they just call it dead, so we wouldn't even know what would happen. And they don't get too physical in the trenches anyway, So it's tough. But there hasn't been much impressive run game going on, and I think that's what's concerning Matt. And the passing game, Rodgers does what he does, and it's easier.
He doesn't have a lot of time, but you can make up for that.
He makes up for it where it's not as concerning. This is the problem, though. Like and I think that's why LaFleur is probably a little bit worried, but the defense is really good, so there is that, right? That's hard to account for when you're practicing against nobody but yourself and you're playing against nobody but yourself.
And the best runs consistently, I'd say, have come from Goodson, the third-string running back.
Well, right.
And it makes sense because they're playing the third-string defense, right? Yeah. So the starting defense is definitely containing the run well, but that has to do with our starting offensive line not being in the best shape right now. Of course, without David Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins as of right now. The starting offensive line tonight went Yosh Nijman, of course, at left tackle, John Runyon Jr. at left guard, third-year player, center Josh Myers, second-year player.
You feel good about those two?
Yeah, you feel good about those two. Royce Newman, second-year player at right guard, and then rookie Zach Tom at right tackle. Yeah. Zach Tom wearing number 50, not a fan of that number.
Oof.
But regardless, I haven't gotten a good look at Zach Tom, obviously, but people seem to like him. But having a rookie starting at right tackle, not ideal. Actually, I totally forgot about this. They opened family night tonight with Royce Newman at right tackle. And who was at right guard? Do you remember? Wasn't it Jake Hansen?
Yeah, they were
backup center. That
yeah.
was a really weird move, but they quickly corrected that back to Royce at right guard and Zach Tom at right tackle.
Something
that
bad
was
must
a
have
weird
happened.
move. Yeah, I don't know what that was.
Yeah,
it's a little experiment, but obviously blocking Kenny Clark with that group of linemen, you're not going to get a lot
quickly,
of.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long they stuck with that group.
But. Yeah, so it makes sense that the run game really hasn't appeared to be that productive, but the backup offense generally has found more success, I'd say, than the starting offense.
In terms of what?
In terms of everything but the quarterback.
Okay.
Because Jordan Love.
Oof.
I feel like we're both trying to root for him more this year. Rodgers is under contract. We don't have to worry about him being traded.
Yeah,
we don't have to worry about him.
When it's pitted of like a Jordan versus Aaron thing.
Yeah,
it's much harder.
And half the fan base wants Jordan to start and wants us to move on from Rodgers. Rodgers is going to be here for a few more years if he doesn't retire.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't have to worry about Jordan Love. We don't have to worry about people clamoring for Love over Rodgers. So I feel like we've been more supportive of him this year, especially this week. We've both been like, let's watch Love. That was a good throw from Love. That was hard for us to
There are some,
the past.
The last practice that we watched at Nitschke Field, that last practice, at the very beginning, we were very excited about how he was throwing the football. Very, very good, strong targets.
Then the 2-minute drill started.
Yes. Well, I wanted to complete the nice things first because the bad things are coming, Griffin. But he was throwing the ball really, really well, and we were excited. In the short game, the passes he was making were very targeted, very strong, super hard balls that were coming in and getting caught. And we were excited about the way that he was really lasering that thing in there. And then we get into these team periods where the least bit of pressure, he knows he's not getting hit either, like in these drills, and he still can't handle the pressure. And
man.
He's making double. Oh my gosh, he got picked once, and then he's getting strip sacked because he has no pocket presence, and then he's throwing near picks. They even gave him a pity third try on the 2-minute drill.
Oh, I've never seen anything like it.
They gave them a third. It was a third 2-minute drill for Jordan.
It was the 2-minute drill period.
Danny didn't even get a shot because they kept giving it to Love, and then he threw a near pick, and that drive stalled.
This is how it went yesterday. So they're doing the 2-minute drill. Does Rodgers score? I don't think. No, they score. They kick a field goal with Rodgers.
Rodgers kicked the field goal. Excuse me. Rodgers didn't perform
Rodgers
the kick.
didn't kick. Yeah.
Rodgers did not perform the kick, but they did kick a field goal.
The starters got to field goal range, kicked a field goal. Call that a quote win.
They had Rodgers do a whole big thing. He punted. He kicked throughout the day.
Love takes the field. Was it the first play? I don't know if it was the first play. Probably the second play.
I think it was one of the first two.
He's strip sacked by someone, and Tipa catches the fumble. Not an interception, but it's a fumble. Returns it for a touchdown. So we're like, oh, is practice over now? Is Danny coming on? They give Love another try, and his first throw, he throws it straight to a cornerback.
And the guy
is a underthrown pass.
I forget who dropped it. It might have been Innis Gaines, but
I think it was Rico Gafford.
It could have been. Who cares?
Who cares?
Really, because I don't know if either of those guys are making the team. But whoever was running at receiver, might have been Dobbs. I'm not sure, but he had him beat by probably 3 steps, and Jordan Love made sure to throw it just low enough that it wasn't even close. So it was. It should have been.
The poor guy, man.
The poor guy.
I just don't think he's a very good quarterback. Yeah. And then, anyways, back to tonight. More of the same, really. What can we say? What can we say?
What did he say?
He just told us to be prepared. The throwing on the run into double coverage.
He did that. Okay,
underthrown
so he threw
passes.
Into double coverage a few times. A few times he threw into double coverage. Should have been. I think there was one. The first time he threw into double coverage, it was 3rd down, and the ball was very nearly picked. It was dropped by 2 different guys. So because Jordan felt that in case one of the guys didn't drop, he wanted the other guy to have a chance at it. So. Which was nice of him for the defense to give
Generous
the second guys, to give the second stringers a
Neither
chance.
of them caught it though. So.
Neither of them caught it.
Wasted
he tried.
opportunity.
Jordan tried to let him have a moment.
Can't blame Jordan for that one.
Yeah, so that was not his fault.
No, but he made a nice throw on the run, rolling to his right to
That
Dobbs.
was in a different period.
Different period, yeah, but that was his best throw, and it's like he tries to capture that so much, and he very rarely is able to do what he wants to do with that football.
Yeah, because then the next play after the one I had mentioned, the next play he threw it again into double coverage and it was broken up. And so I don't know what he's really looking at.
We can't make this stuff up. We're not even trying to be biased. Like, I want to have a good backup quarterback.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, there'd be nice if he could show something, and maybe if we let him go start somewhere else, I'd root for him just the same. Like if we could have Rodgers here and make sure that he's in locked up. I would not have any problem with moving Jordan Love to potentially like start on a team like Seattle, who doesn't really have a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to see him play well somewhere else.
Because he seems like the nicest guy.
He's been
he
great.
Really does.
Off the field. He has been really great, and even when that stuff with Aaron was going on, everything he said was all the right things.
Right.
He's been great. I do like him as a person a lot. He's got a lot of friends. He's friends with Dominique.
He's friends with a lot of guys.
A lot of the guys that A.J. Dillon, he's very close with, and these are guys that we've interviewed and really like, and they love him too. So it's not like, no pun intended.
They love him.
We love love over here at this show, don't we?
We just don't love as the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers.
Maybe we're a little spoiled with how Aaron has been. I mean, we're watching the best quarterback in the world every day, so we're a little probably tougher on him. But it's tough because also, Jordan will make like 1 or 2 throws of practice that impress people, and then people hope that that's him consistently. But the more real aspect of what he's doing is many of the bad throws and the interceptions and the lack of pocket presence, those are the real consistencies in his game. And that's sad to say. The throws come and go, but the consistencies in his game aren't going away. And it really is sad because you want to see him play well enough to give you excitement about his future, or like give you a sense of security with him as our backup if Aaron was to get hurt for a game or two. But again, last year Rodgers goes out, Jordan can't score in Kansas City. And then Rodgers sits after the first quarter in the Lions game, and we can't win. And it's like, I don't understand why people continue to give this guy more credit than he deserves in terms of him being a quality NFL quarterback. It's a lot of hopefulness, I think, or people trying to hope that Brian didn't make a mistake there. But I feel like unless something drastically changes, this has been a difficult goodbye.
Oh, that was perfect. Great point by you.
Love hurts, and so does the truth.
As I said after the Week 9 game against Kansas City, the things he does best is short area stuff.
He can really throw the ball well
in
from
rhythm throws. Quick game. He's good at it. When he hits the top of his drop and his first read is open and he's able to hit that out route, he can put it where he wants to.
But can I also add to that what you just said right there? I think my grandfather can do those things probably.
Yeah. Well, no, because I do think not every quarterback is great at that. Like, you have quarterbacks like Jameis Winston, who's much better at when the play breaks down,
when
launching
things are
it.
Comfortable though.
Some quarterbacks just aren't good at the quick game stuff. Rodgers, for a long time, he went through a 3-year period where he wasn't the best at that.
Okay, but now you're comparing. That's funny.
No. I'm just trying to give Love credit for what he does well.
But but like any guy who's coming into training camp.
That's my point.
Danny Etling does those things well too.
My point is, if you want that in a quarterback, you can sign Marcus Mariota. Right? That's my larger point with that. But yeah, Love is what he is. He's our backup quarterback as of right now. In years past, maybe we would have been a little excited about him struggling, but this year it's like, come on, man. I want a good backup quarterback at the very least.
Yep.
I said before we started recording that we wouldn't dog on Love too much here, so.
Not just this is here. We're telling what had happened at practice today. I wish we could come out and be excited about Jordan because he's clearly not a threat to Aaron. And not that you know what I mean? I want the best quarterback on our football team. But I have no doubt in my mind that Jordan Love is not that guy for us. So
the second best guy is actually a much closer argument than it is between the second and first best guy.
Danny has missed a lot of throws.
Yeah, Danny's not good.
Danny's not very good, but he's also shown just about as much as Jordan Love this preseason to me.
Exactly.
People had said he had a good practice the other day.
Jordan Love?
Jordan.
Yeah.
Which and I'm really trying to see what he can do here, and I didn't see it as well as some of the other people that watched.
I'm telling you,
People have a weird thing about him that, like, they really, really, really want him to do well for whatever reason. I'm not going to even get into why because I don't know. But I would like him to do well also. But again, I'm not seeing the same, like, I don't know what people are seeing in terms of, like, these flashes. I'm seeing more, like, very dull moments of not being able to do things that what we've seen in Green Bay over the last 30-plus years, 40 years. I mean, like, we are not seeing anything that is remotely close to an Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre in terms of throwing that football, which is so crucial in that game of football.
Throwing the ball, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big part of what we do here.
It is. My favorite Jordan Love tweet will always be week 3 of the preseason last year against the Buffalo Bills when he's rolling right, launches a ball into like triple coverage and it's picked off. Someone on Twitter said that it was a good throw.
If there wasn't an offender there, watch out.
Like, the arm talent was impressive.
Yeah.
I was talking earlier about what it must have been like for Patrick Mahomes' rookie training camp. Like, what it must have felt so different watching him, because I've made this point in the past too. At this point, we would know if Jordan Love was going to be that type of guy. We would know it.
So Pat Mahomes went into that last game in his rookie year, and didn't he score like 4 touchdowns with no picks?
He had a really good game, I know that.
I've never seen Jordan Love complete a touchdown pass that impressed me.
And I haven't seen very many throws. I can't think of a throw that makes me think he's special.
He's got...
Even that interception against Buffalo.
You weren't impressed by that? No, but I mean, like, again, it's not like... It's very clear. Like, there's really no gray area for me because I just haven't seen those things that he's doing that some of these other quarterbacks were when you're talking about first-round guys. But, Griff, enough about the quarterback position because I'm sick of being negative. Let's talk about the defense.
The defense, there's a lot to be positive about.
Very much.
A lot to be positive
Can we
about.
start with permission to start with these two rookies that are just exciting me to no end? These guys are balling out right now, and especially today was very good for Quay. I thought Quay had a really nice day. I've seen him make, and it's hard because he's not making true tackles. I mentioned this on the last show. He's not making true tackles, obviously, but he is filling these gaps and swarming the running backs in these run plays, and which is why we were talking about the running game hasn't been going great. The two linebackers have made it a lot more difficult than years past.
Yeah, you've
on those
got
guys.
a loaded defensive line, and then you've got Devondre and Quay on the second level. It's not easy to run the ball against this. It's just not. And so having the classic Packers defense of the last how many years that have just been terrible against the run, and teams have just ran it down our throats, Kyle Shanahan, I feel like that's not going to be the case this year.
Who's going to – how? Where's the hole? And, I mean, like, when you're talking about – just look at those front five guys, and plus we'll talk about the run defense that Preston does from the outside. And I won't even include Rashawn because
he's one of the best run-defending edge rushers.
Preston Smith is just very valuable because he does it all for us. And people joke about the stuff that he does dropping into coverage when he was doing it a lot.
He did it today.
Yeah.
Just one play, I remember. He was in coverage.
And he can do that. The good thing is under Joe Barry, he has never done it much. Under Mike Pettin, he was doing it at like a 4% rate, which is
Mike Pettin
ridiculous.
thought he was one of our best zone defenders, it seemed.
Yeah, apparently, and because he was playing a little bit of cornerback for us.
that one screenshot of him on the sideline playing legit quarterback.
Yeah, and
that is so funny, man.
I don't know what Mike Pettin thought he was doing there. Like, I don't know if he thought it was like maybe Preston can give him a good shoulder to the face. I don't know, but
he presses really well.
Yeah, he's not going to let anybody get past you. But if that somehow does happen, it's over. Yeah. But again, no, Preston really can do a lot of things for us, so he's valuable. And Rashawn, we know what he can do. I wouldn't say he's as big of a factor in the running game, but his presence alone is going to be enough, right? But then you look at whether it's Kenny, obviously in the middle. I don't know if we need to talk about him much again.
Everyone knows how good Kenny
because he is just impeccable in the passing and running game. He's going to do everything for us.
And not being double teamed constantly this year,
because
gonna help a
of
lot.
the guys I'm about to mention. I'm going to start with Devonte Wyatt because I think he's the clear next best guy. And I'm including Dean, and I'm including Jerron Reed, and these are guys that have done it at a high level for a really long time. But Devonte Wyatt, every single day we have been out here, has been the clear standout guy in the middle. Apart from Kenny Clark, of course. But he has been the guy that has impressed us and shocked us and surprised us. And he's a first-round pick, and you expect him to play well. But he has been explosive. He has been ferocious. He has been... I can't even describe it. Watching him in person is... You mention Aaron Donald, and it seems ludicrous. But I have not seen a player as explosive in the middle of the field on defense like that. Moving guys around, getting to the quarterback. He does not miss many reps. He's not losing those one-on-ones.
I've seen this guy get past John Runyon too many times to even remember.
That's our starting left guard who has done a great job, and he did so last year for a lot of games for us.
He's been borderline unblockable.
It's
like
bizarre.
At this point, I don't know who. I don't think anyone on this team, any young guy on this team has a better chance of being like an All-Pro in the NFL.
He looks incredible.
Like, I'm ready to say he's going to be a future NFL star. Like, obviously we need to see him in the regular season, but I feel like it's just impossible that he doesn't succeed.
Physically looked at these draft picks and taken the guys. They have been very rare to miss based on what they do, looking at these guys from a physical standpoint. He is just the perfect body type. Athleticism.
He's massive, dude. He's massive.
You look at him, and he's walked by us a few times, and we've gotten up close and personal with him. He is a different human being. He is a whole different specimen. That guy is going to be something special for us in the middle of the defense.
He's built like Gilbert Brown, moves like Aaron Donald. Not bad, right? Just came up with
That's a pretty good comparison you just came up with. He is huge, and he also is super quick and explosive and agile.
Yeah, and he's
not
even
moving guys, strong.
Getting by him at will. And he's not even playing with the ones.
Oh, my
How
goodness.
long until he surpasses Dean Lowry? I feel like it can't be like week 3 maybe. I feel like he's going to be out there.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
And Jaron Reed, like, we have too many guys. Every position, we have too many guys.
And that's what I was saying. You put all those guys, whatever combo of 3 you want to put up there up front, this is a whole different ballgame than what we were doing last year with Tyler Trashcaster.
Oh, come on, man.
Excuse my bluntness there, but gosh.
Oh, poor
My
Lanny.
goodness.
Is Lanny in the league currently?
Who cares? As long as he's not with us.
Why was Tyler Lancaster starting on this team for like 4 seasons? God, Goody. No, but it's not a problem anymore. We have too many bodies there now. We go out and sign Jaron Reed and draft Devonte Wyatt. That position is insane. We talked about it a couple shows ago.
And TJ Slayton is...
And TJ Slayton, we still have high hopes
He
for
still
him.
is probably physically, just in terms of attributes, the most impressive guy in that group.
Yeah, he's massive as well.
He is huge, weighs probably the most, and he's strong as anybody in that group, too.
He's wearing that Gilbert Brown 93.
He is, and he looks good wearing it, too, because he's been playing so well.
Yeah.
And now and then, of course, now we talk about these two linebackers. You've got the All-Pro, and then you've got the guy who looks like a mirror image of him in terms of physically. Just absolutely ridiculous. And he's faster, and I think he's going to do a little bit more in the passing game, which will allow Devondre to continue to float towards that middle, closer to the line of scrimmage. They could both do it, though. I think, and because I mentioned Quay is doing really well in the running game so far, but then I've also seen him really do some impressive things in the passing game, too.
He was in great position on Mercedes Lewis on one play in the tight red zone today. Do you remember? It was Mercedes caught the ball because it was a laser from Rodgers.
Yeah, but he was there.
Just outside of Quay's hand.
Yes.
But he was right there.
That was the touchdown?
That was the touchdown.
Yeah, that was...
Didn't Quay have a tip? I can't really remember all these plays. There's so many plays. I'm having a hard time recalling it, but I know that he's been in great position in pass coverage.
Quay was even he was within arm's reach. It wasn't his. It was nowhere near him really, but he was very close to getting that ball from that Romeo catch from Jordan. He was right there. He saw what was coming, and he was trying to get there, but it obviously wasn't his responsibility, so he was kind of chasing after something he couldn't reach. But
I think Rodgers has floated a couple like right over his hand, like Fred Warner when he hit Devonte week 3, like just like that type of play.
I think Quay is finding his positions, like in terms of on the field. I think he's finding those and looking for his spots and working through the motions of the difficulties right now. And the more he gets comfortable, he's going to be in a great position to make those plays, especially with Devondre next to him. It's going to be a lot easier to learn from him and see where his spots are and to finally pick them in the games and make those plays.
Can you imagine being a rookie linebacker playing against Aaron Rodgers in practice every day?
Wow.
And trying to defend the Matt LaFleur offense?
You just put something special.
You're going to learn a lot so quickly.
He's taking the hardest challenges in practice right now, and when
they threw him into the fire.
When he gets to Kirk Cousins and a rookie head coach, things are gonna be easier and easier, man.
Kirk Cousins, then Justin Fields,
oh
two
my
rookie
gosh.
head coaches.
Wow! Wait till he plays Jared Goff. We are gonna have ourselves a football team this year. My goodness.
This team is so good, man. I feel like. Maybe we're biased. I don't know, because I feel like this team is just so good everywhere. And receiver, everyone in the NFL knows that, the Packers have no receivers. Listen to our podcast from 6 months ago, and we're whining about how the Packers have no receivers. But even at that position, I'm so excited, like I said earlier, about every single player there. Yeah. The defensive line, we have so many players. Everywhere on defense, we have so many players. Tight end, so much to be excited about. Offensive line, we're getting 2 All-Pros back. We're gonna be.
Let's hope. We can't guarantee anything.
I'm done guaranteeing anything about Bakhtiari, and that's stupid.
If I was gonna be concerned about anything, it's about the lack of experience and/or clarity.
The O-line
with the group.
I think the slam dunk choice for worst position on this team used to be receiver for me, but now I'm ready to say it's the offensive line, especially without Elton and David.
It's a lot of unknowns. I think that's the problem.
A lot of unknowns and a lot of guys who I just don't expect to play well.
There's just, it's all about the unit, so it's a little harder to project.
It's a weak link unit.
Yeah, well, again, until we know what happens with David and Elton, how soon he can come back, it depends. Right now, I don't feel good because of what we've seen. And, again, the rookies, too, they have to go through an adjustment period. It's very early, whatever. It's just tough. You don't know until you really see it. Once the games come and then they're, really playing actually hard football in the trenches. And then it's against, when we go into Minnesota week 1 and it's Zadarius and it's...
Kill me.
And it's Daniil Hunter, then we'll know.
Things could get ugly there.
Things could get ugly. things could get Tyler Lancaster ugly.
Oh, man. But they're going to take that one step at a time. And I don't know about Elton. Like, what do you think? Have you heard about when Elton could come back? Because I have no idea.
Well, with them on
Probably
the
not
pup,
week 1, right?
I don't know if he'll... I mean, it would be... When did he get hurt? That's what
Week 11. Vikings. That was November.
They say, what, 9 months?
That was like right before Thanksgiving.
They say 9 months, right? Like,
well, Bach is pushing 24 here.
well, he's a little younger, I guess, I would hope, right? Like, with the adjustment period and everything. The health-wise.
You know, did you see that Bakhtiari said he had a setback? Was it this offseason that he had a setback?
He had another surgery, yeah.
Oh, my God. This is like the... I've never heard of an ACL...
about him playing again. And if... I'm not saying again, because I think they'll put him out there at some point. Like, he's going to play.
He literally played against Detroit. Isn't that crazy?
I don't know. That must have been a bad decision.
Was it a bad decision? I guess.
In hindsight, clearly, because he didn't play the next game and then has gotten 2 setbacks since.
Oh, my God. I remember seeing that he was inactive against San Fran.
I have concerns about him playing well ever again. That's going to be hard.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since he's played. There's no way he's going to be... To me, it would be quite a shock to have him return to All-Pro. How old is he now? 29, 30, right? Like... Even more. I don't know how old he is right now off the top of my head, but it's going to be, 2 years of not playing football. That is a long time.
That has to have some kind of effect.
He can't be any better, and he definitely is going to be worse.
But he's probably going to be better than Josh Nijman, so.
Probably.
Well, you're talking about
Griff, I think if we suit you up, we might have a shot.
Come on, man. Yashi's good.
Yash is all right.
Yashi's really thin, too.
He is thin.
If you put Yash with the receivers... I'm not going to be able to... I'm kidding.
But he's looking very slim.
He's way thinner than anyone else.
Sometimes I wonder how he held up against Nick Bosa in any capacity because he can...
It's those feet.
It looks like he can get pushed around. He's athletic. He's quick.
That's what they like about him.
I'd like to see him do some Trent Williams and stuff that they did against us in San Francisco.
Oh, the pulling tackle?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think he can really run. You watch some of the film on him, like if you really see him in the running game and stuff, he gets downfield. He's running faster than all the other linemen. He's outrunning them by a lot.
I love this team, man. I could talk about this team for hours. But let's pull up some questions here because we've got a few more podcasts to go before we hit the road here. We did drive here. I don't know if we mentioned that. We drove here from New Jersey to Wisconsin. Did it in one day. It was actually like a day and most of the night. Didn't get here till like 4 a.m. It was a tough drive, and we have to do that again, which I'm really not looking forward to being in the car for 19 hours again. So I never want to leave, not only just because I'm enjoying these practices so much, but because the method of travel is not exciting. But enough of that. I'm stalling here, waiting for Bron to pull up these questions. Okay, first question here. This is this all comes from Bron's Instagram story that he put up a few days ago. I don't know when you're listening to this, but it was a few days ago. This one from JCent1D. Do you think Christian Watson will play on the same level as Romeo Dobbs? That is a great question because everyone knows how well Romeo Dobbs has played. No one more than us. By the way, I think I'm buying a Romeo Dobbs jersey tomorrow at the pro shop, so stay tuned for that one. I'm ready to do it. Just the other day I was talking about how stupid it is to buy a rookie's jersey. I don't care anymore. He's made enough plays. I've made up my mind. I'm buying that jersey. Yeah. But anyways, Romeo Dobbs has looked like a superstar already. It's going to be really hard for Christian Watson to come in and match that, right? Because it's rare to see that from a rookie. So, and knowing the type of player that Christian Watson is, I don't think he's as well defined as like a route runner. As a route runner, I don't think his skill set is as diverse as Romeo Dobbs is.
I think we have to let him hit the field a little bit, and for me to say anything like that, I would love to see him a little more. To me, as a prospect, I really was so thrilled about getting Christian Watson because I feel like he can do so many things that Deebo Samuel can do. To me, that was the comparison I had for him, like in terms of skill set wise. I love what he does from a body type standpoint. In the middle of the field, he just has that height and speed. It's like he's really rare. He just has those rare athletic skills. Like I mentioned, Brian finds those things, those rare qualities, and those are just above the entire NFL. Like he's unmatched in some of those categories. So I think he's going to excel. We just need to see him do it on the field. You know, Griff, and you talked about this a little bit. Like he has been around Rodgers so much, and he's asked so many questions, and he's being involved, and he's getting the offense down, and looks good. Like in terms of health. We've seen him running around, jumping up and down. Like, he looks like he can do things. We watched him throw some passes today.
He's riding bikes.
Yeah.
If the knee was that big of a concern, he wouldn't be riding bikes.
I think they're just holding him out right now. I'm not going to even speculate on it. They're holding him out. I don't know why, but he looks like he can move well enough where it's not an issue. And I think once he gets on the field, hopefully for preseason, it sounds like it won't be too long. I'd like to see him play a couple preseason games, really get his feet underneath him. And then we'll be able to start saying, okay, is Dobbs just, you know what I mean? Like, then we start asking the questions and answering them throughout the season. But the sooner he gets on the field, the more we'll be able to answer that.
I said it was rare for a receiver to come in and make that type of jump that Romeo Dobbs has. Roger said the same thing the other day, but if you think about the past couple of years, it really, Jamar Chase for the Bengals last year comes in instant impact, instantly a top 5 receiver in the league. And the Bengals obviously go to the Super Bowl. The year before that, Justin Jefferson. You wouldn't even have known that the Vikings traded Stephon Diggs in the same offseason because Justin Jefferson was able to come in and be as good, if not better, than Diggs was. So we've seen the track record for receivers coming in and making an instant impact. So when you're playing with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, who is a little bit picky, but is going to buy into the offense, which is going to make it easier for you as a receiver, it wouldn't be that much of a shock, really, if Romeo Dobbs was able to be as good as he's looked in practice in the regular season. And then Christian Watson coming in and being close to that good, if not better, because he was drafted in the 2nd round. So if he's able to be on that level, then I don't think we're even going to be talking about the lack of Devonte Adams, because if we have 2 rookie receivers who are able to jump onto the field and have an instant impact, then we're going to be talking about Rodgers' 5th MVP.
Yes, well, I think that could happen anyway. But I do want to kind of tie in a question from Chris_1681. He kind of asks, do you think Watson's injury is going to affect if he produces or how much he produces this year? I think so. I think if he continues to sit out, then he's going to be a little bit behind the 8 ball trying to get on the field when these other guys have been in the works on the field doing those things in practice with Aaron, developing the chemistry, earning his trust. He may not get the same playing time and therefore may not produce as much. But if he's not going to be out for too long, like if maybe he comes back in, let's say, a week and a half, and then he's there for preseason game 2, then he starts practicing again, I think he will be able to catch up in time where it's as if it never happened, and I think he'll be ready. But it's all dependent on what happens there with the injury, and if he's able to have success, how quickly he can start getting his feet underneath him, and how quickly he can start producing in preseason and in training camp. Then we'll see if it's going to affect how much he produces during the season.
These are valuable reps that he's missing.
That's true.
You have to remember. Rodgers just talked about the other day how much he values practice reps over preseason reps, because in the preseason defenses are so vanilla and it's basically cover 2, cover 3, but in practice you're getting the full actual coaching effort. So him being held out, the longer he's held out, I mean, it can't be a good thing.
Tyler Cormier 20 asks, have you seen a difference from the last special teams coach and Rich Bisaccia? I think we both know the answer to this question.
Watching Rich Bisaccia coach is one of my favorite things to do at practice.
On the field,
he is getting down and dirty. He's screaming at people.
He is giving every single player on the field. First of all, Matt LaFleur, I will say this. Matt LaFleur relies on him heavily. I think not even just for special teams, but as a leader and as a leader of men, I think Rich Bisaccia is rare as a coach. And what he does, like you mentioned, he really does get down with the players, and he's doing things. He is giving snaps at the beginning of every practice. He is giving snaps to the holders to grab, and they're not great snaps because he's trying to give these guys the toughest possible outcomes, and he wants them to get this down. And this is, of course, we're talking about whether it's the holder in this case or whether, he's doing everything he can to make sure these guys are prepared to be the best special teams in football. And that's going to be a tough ask in year 1 after being maybe the worst, but he's doing everything he can. I think he's coming up with different ways of doing things in that room, and he's putting a different standard out there, and I think his effect is going to be largely felt this season, and I think it's going to start with what Matt LaFleur does too. Everything has been impacted, and he has been a clear positive person in Green Bay, and I think he's an excellent fit in this team and in this organization.
Coming from the last two special teams coordinators, Mo Drayton, Sean Menenga, Ron Zook, you can throw in there, who, I mean, especially the last two, just seemed like they didn't even care about special teams. Like, you never heard their names unless it was for terrible reasons, like towards the end of last season. They displayed nowhere near the amount of passion that Rich Bisaccia shows for special teams. And like you said, he's always with Matt LaFleur. They're always together. You've got, what did we see? Bisaccia the other day at practice at Nitschke Field, he's watching like defensive reps. Like he's out there coaching with Matt LaFleur.
He is very much involved on every side of the ball, which I think that's a super important part of his impact. He's really affecting both coaches, Joe Barry and Matt LaFleur.
So going from Menenga and Drayton, who was an in-house promotion, to now getting arguably one of, if not the best, special teams coordinator, that's going to have an impact. And I have to admit we haven't been watching the we're not very trained in the scouting of kickoff coverage, but nothing drastically terrible has happened.
No, they're really not doing much.
We've seen a couple good returns. The worst parts have been muff punts, but Matt LaFleur blamed that on the jugs machine, actually. Jugs machine, actually, the other day. We spent a good amount of time talking about that on the last podcast, but Matt LaFleur said it was actually due to the jugs machine.
The equipment staff, he more so blamed. Not a great day for them.
Not a great day for them.
So, are we going to have to start talking about some replacements outside of the actual roster here? But, yeah, I think Rich has just been fabulous hire. Everything he's done is excellent. So, no complaints yet. But, of course, then the things start coming. What happens during the season? Are we gonna start making plays in any capacity and just not making mistakes? Like, not even making great plays, just making plays and not making mistakes instead. Like,
forget the special. Just beat teams.
Like, literally, that's a quote by you. That was a quote by me. Went viral.
Usain Bolt liked that post.
Let's not even forget that one.
People forget about that.
Yeah.
I don't think we've mentioned that, but people forget about that.
Not on the show.
Usain Bolt liked that post.
That was a very viral video. But... that was a great quote, wasn't it?
It was.
That was a really good quote. Let's hope that's the case this year.
You said, what did you say? You were like...
What did he say?
You said, forget the special. Just be teams. Like, can we get 11 on the field? Can we get 11 guys on the field? These were challenges for the special teams units of the past in Green Bay.
I don't think that's going to be an issue. Like,
no, 11 guys on the field?
Not under Rich Bisaccia.
No, the moment we have 10 guys out there.
Literally in a playoff game. On a literal extra point.
No, it was a field goal.
Whatever. It's embarrassing.
Game-winning field goal.
That's even more embarrassing.
I'm laughing.
It was over. Terribly. Yeah. No.
Terrible.
I'm on the floor here, Griff.
Literally,
that
the
was
last
on the game-winning
play of our
field goal.
season. Game-winning field goal. We have 10 guys on the field.
Oh my gosh.
In the worst special teams performance I've seen in my life. That is really the cherry on top of that game. We forget about how disastrous that was. And all season, I was saying, everyone was saying, special teams is going to be the reason we lose in the playoffs. Almost as an exaggeration, almost as hyperbole, like special teams will cost us our season. And in that game, it was ridiculous. We had a blocked field goal before half, we're giving up kickoff returns, blocked punt, which was their only touchdown of the game, and we have 10 guys on the field for the game-winning field goal.
All right, let's stop here because I don't want to relive this anymore, and I'm sure nobody else does too.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We can go on and on about that. But the good news is the tides are turning and things are looking up.
Rich Bisaccia is here to save us.
Let's hope.
Moving on.
This is a great question from Dave Trader. He asks, is it safe to say that the pass rush depth is the team's biggest concern more than wide receivers? I wanted to hit on this earlier and I forgot, Griff. We have not been impressed with Kingsley Enigbar, with what he's done, and also his size physically. We are not impressed.
He's looked the worst that we've seen in the one-on-one drills.
He was stood up like 4 times in a row against like some bad, not great players. I think his size is a problem. People compared him to Za'Darius with his size, and
I think it was more of how they used him in college.
It must have been because they are not similar sized at all. Zadarius is much bigger, stronger, faster.
Yes. And these are things that he can work on, and he can obviously show up to camp next year.
Think about, like we were just talking
bigger.
about, Alan Lazard looked like you coming into Jacksonville.
Yeah, he looked like me. And now he looks like a massive human being.
And now he looks like me.
Yeah, right. Oh, God.
No, but he looks like a superhero out there. Like, he's a whole different person. So
yeah, and
Kingsley
can do that. Kingsley can do that. But
5th round pick.
He has experience, I think, is what people were pointing out. He has experience lining up at nose. He has experience lining up everywhere along the defensive line he can play. Or he at least has experience. But from what we've seen, it hasn't been too impressive. Which, speaking on the depth of the pass rusher at the edge rush position, Kingsley was kind of one of the players that you were kind of going to hang your hat on paper. Like, yes. He's like, okay, we brought in Kingsley. I'm
thinking he can develop into our 3rd guy because he was a top 100 pick projected and ended up falling into the 5th for us. So I'm thinking he could be that guy. Now it's going to probably take a little bit more developing. If there was a position where we were to add a free agent, we really miss Whitney right now. I feel like Whitney Merciless.
Maybe they were hoping they could bring
back
back
they
Whitney.
Probably would. Well, I know they wanted him back. I know for a fact they wanted him back, actually, but he obviously ended up retiring. So,
but you can find a guy like that before the season starts. That wave of cuts after camp.
Okay,
you can find a guy like that. We found him in October?
That's true. That's a good point. And he's a rare occasion, I think, where a really bad team has some really good players that they don't need and wanted to give Whitney a chance to try to win a Super Bowl. That just worked out in our favor in a great way. I'd like that to be the case, but the problem is with the cuts from the camp, that we could bring in a player that's better than what we have now, but these guys are not on their rosters for a reason, too. So it's all circumstantial, and we'll see what happens after.
One team's trash is another's treasure.
Evidently. Jordan Love?
Oh, God. Come on, man.
Anybody else? Anybody interested? No. But, yeah, I just think with that group, Garvin is a good backup depth type guy, but I don't think I want him in a true rotation. Kingsley hasn't shown us enough yet to be in the rotation. Ladarius Hamilton was cut at one point last year and put back on the practice squad, so he's clearly not. I don't want him being our number 3 or 4. There needs to be, I think, more there. But Tipa looks okay at times, I guess. But then after that, there's not much. If there was anybody. I don't even know. I might have just named everybody. Can't think of everybody at once, but I'm not excited about that backup depth group right now.
I would say there's nothing to be excited about.
No. So
behind Preston and
the question was, is it safe to say that pass rush depth is the team's biggest concern more than the wide receivers? Apart from O-line, and if you can include the fact that we have David and Elton like waiting in the wings, I would say yes, and that is a pretty great question. Something I'm glad we were able to address.
I would say yes too, because pass rushers, they can't play every snap.
Yes, just like the D-line.
We've got
idea.
We got to have guys who are coming in. Randy Ramsey, I don't think.
Randy Ramsey. He's been actually. You know what? It's funny. He's been hurt. He's been doing a lot of like work off to the side. I think he would be 4. Hopefully, we can get a better number 3. I think I like him though as a 3 or 4 guy.
I agree.
So I'm okay with him. That's a good. We did forget to mention he has been working off to the side, but when he's healthy, I don't think he was totally healthy last year either. So I think if when he comes back and he's ready to go, that should be somebody that will be in the mix and playing well for us too.
I don't want to turn this into the Packers' biggest weakness ranking show, but if I had to rank the Packers' biggest weaknesses, I would go O-line first because the starting group right now is just not good enough. The starting group, as it is right now with the injuries taken into account. But then number 2, I would actually go cornerback depth because I feel
that's not easy.
I feel like that's a more valuable position, especially if you're bad at it. I'd rather be bad at edge than I am bad at cornerback, because like you always say, you can't really like, it sucks for your quarterback to be able to just for the opposing quarterback to just be able to sit in the pocket with no pressure, but at least we've got interior pressure. When we've got Shamar John Charles starting on the outside, it's just too easy to go after him all game. So I feel like that I would put above the edge rusher depth in terms of biggest weaknesses. But yeah, edge rusher depth is definitely up there. And receiver, I mean, it's so funny. If you asked me even a month ago, I probably would have put receiver at 1. But just seeing these guys in person, I feel so good about them. And I think it's getting late here. We've been doing this a while now, so I think we got to wrap this up. You guys asked a lot of really good questions. A lot of good questions. People are excited this time of year, man. I'm excited. I can't wait. At one point, you mentioned football season. I just started smiling. I don't know if you noticed. I'm just so excited for this team. I love this team. I love this city. I love that G. It's funny, right? God, I can't wait, man. I can't wait to watch practice on Sunday. I wish there was practice tomorrow. I'm really excited about this team, and I think everyone out there should be as excited as I am because this team's going to be good, folks. It's going to be good. That's going to do it for us tonight here. Thank you so much for listening. If you've listened this far, let us know on Instagram. We've had a few people do that, which we always really appreciate when you let us know because it makes us feel better about what we're doing here. So if you like it, let us know you listened this far. Rate it 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Share it with your friends and family. Let everyone know that you enjoyed the show here so we can get a bigger audience, and we would really appreciate it. Appreciate you for listening, of course. So that's going to do it for me. You can follow me on Instagram at alldaypackers, and yeah, go Pack Go.
Thanks for listening, everybody. As always, go Pack Go.